Good morning, deeply loved, wanted, cherished, and worthy children of God. Welcome to Story Time with Pastor Maureen. I am Pastor Maureen Howard of Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Washington, Iowa, and as I do every day, I greet you with great joy as we come together to read the stories in the Bible. Well, this whole week we've been reading stories from the Holy Week, the highest week of the church year, the holiest week, the week that Jesus goes into Jerusalem, the week that Jesus goes on trial, the week that Jesus dies, and the week that Jesus rises from the dead. Well, yesterday we learned that Jesus went on trial. Trial because he loves people, which is a different way of the way the world acts. Jesus wants us to love people, and that made people angry. And so we're going to find out what happens to Jesus. So the story today is called The Day Jesus Died. So are you ready for the story? All right, we'll be reading it from the Spark Story Bible, and it is published by Augsburg Fortress. And so again, the story is called The Day Jesus Died. It was a very sad day when Jesus died. The soldiers who had arrested Jesus teased him for pretending to be a king. They took his clothes and put a king's purple cloak on him. They made a crown of vines with sharp thorns and put it on Jesus' head. Ouch! The soldiers made Jesus carry a heavy wooden cross. The cross was too heavy for him. Jesus fell and skinned his knees, and the cross tumbled to the ground. A man in the crowd carried the cross the rest of the way. So here's the picture of Jesus. And here's one of the soldiers. Look how strong he is. And look how he's making Jesus carry the cross. And they've whipped Jesus and they've beaten Jesus. And look, his clothes are all torn. They've taken off that fancy purple robe that they made fun of him wearing. And Jesus is carrying that very heavy cross. And here's the man that probably is going to carry the cross for him, because Jesus is so tired and beaten and sore, and the cross is so heavy for him. Can you find Squiggles? Yeah, you've already located him. There's Squiggles, and look at Squiggles' face. Look at his eyes as he looks up to Jesus in sorrow that Jesus is going to die. Well, let's continue. The soldiers nailed Jesus' hands and feet to the cross. They raised Jesus' cross up on a hill between two other men. The other men were thieves, and they were being crucified too. One of the men was angry with Jesus. If you are a powerful king, can't you save yourself? Why don't you save us too? The man spat at Jesus. But the other man believed in Jesus. He shouted back, "Don't you know who this is? This is God's Son. He hasn't done anything wrong. We are being punished for our mistakes. But Jesus shouldn't be here." The man turned to Jesus and asked, "Will you take me to heaven with you?" Jesus looked at the man and loved him. Jesus told him, "Yes, today we will be in heaven together." And so here's the full page picture of the crucifixion of Jesus. And let's get a closer look. And here are the people of Jesus so much. And can you see what they're doing? Yes, you can see the tears coming down their eyes. See, and there's squiggles. And look, even his antenna is down because he's so sad. Here are the friends of Jesus crying and weeping because Jesus is crucified. And if you go to the top of the page, you don't see Jesus, but you can see the three bases of the crosses. One, two, and three. And so Jesus would be in the middle one, and the two thieves, the two criminals that deserve to be on the cross, would be on the outside of Jesus. Let's continue. After a while, the world grew very dark, as if a terrible thunderstorm was coming. It was as if all of creation was crying because Jesus was about to die. Jesus was feeling all alone and prayed to see if God was still there. Of course, God never left Jesus. God was with him the whole time. Jesus looked at the crowd. He was so sad that people didn't believe that he was God's son. He asked God to forgive them for killing him. The soldiers offered him some sour wine, but he didn't want to drink it. He was ready to die. Finally, Jesus had fought for long enough. He said, God, the work you have gave me to do is finished. He breathed a final, long, slow breath. And then he died. And here's the two-page picture, and you can see how dark it is. Even though it was the afternoon, it got very, very dark. And you can see on the hill the three crosses. Jesus dead in the center cross, and the two thieves on either side. Can you find squiggles? Do you see squiggles? There's squiggles. You see them? No, that's the page number. That's what I thought. Do you see squiggles? I'll try it again. Do you see squiggles? Look carefully. Look carefully. Did you see squiggles? No. Squiggles wasn't even on that page, was he? It was just Jesus and the two thieves. And the story ends today. That because Jesus loves you and me and the whole world so much, that Jesus allowed himself to die, but forgives us, you and me and the world, for not loving Jesus and not loving God back and not loving the world the way we should. Jesus dies and forgives us. And so we know that this has already happened, but that is not the end of the story. Jesus does not remain dead on the cross, but we'll have to wait for tomorrow to find out what happens. But know that love always and forever will conquer death. But we'll find out tomorrow. So beautiful and treasured, worthy and deeply wanted, greatly wanted children of God. Remember that Jesus loves you always. And so let's say that on the count of 3. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Jesus loves me! And on this day when we read that Jesus loves the whole world and not only dies for you and for me, but dies for every person on this world. Let's say Jesus loves our neighbors too. And remember, we put our arms like this for love, and then we make our arms out. And remember that Jesus loves the whole world, every person. You ready? 1, 2, 3. And Jesus loves our neighbors too. Yes, children of God, there is not one person that Jesus does not love. God, through Jesus, loves everybody. And there's no sin that we can do that Jesus does not forgive. Oh, this is called Good Friday, this story. Good Friday, not good for Jesus, but good for us, because Jesus ultimately shows his love for you, for me, and the world by going to the cross and dies. I and Marion and Dwayne and Elise and Charlotte, God says to you, I love you so very much. And Thor and Uta and Bjorn and Juanita and Clarcinda, God says to you, you are my precious, you are my wonderful, favorite children. All of you are my favorite children. I don't play favorites because I love you all. You're all precious and treasured in my sight, and you all bring me joy. And Kathleen and Jim and Harold, God says to you, you bring me joy. So children of God, we have to wait tomorrow to hear what happens, just like the people in Jesus' day had to wait 3 days, but we get to wait until tomorrow to find out the good news of what happens to Jesus. So join me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning if you would like to join us for worship. And tomorrow we get to do a baptism. I get to baptize Ellis Joy. What a great day tomorrow in worship will be. So join us live streaming here on Emmanuel's Facebook page for service, worship at 9 a.m. And then join me at 10 o'clock, give or take a few minutes depending on how long worship goes. And I will continue to read the wonderful story of Jesus and what happens to him after he dies. So you have a grateful day, beautiful and wanted and worthy children of God. And I'll see you tomorrow, 9 o'clock for worship or 10 o'clock for story time with Pastor Maureen. Have a grateful day, everybody. Bye-bye.